Hey, it's Wednesday. Comic-Con ended on Sunday. We drove back up on Monday, got here late. Not here, this is the new house, got to the old house. And yesterday, Tuesday, I was calling people to set up appointments to come see about painting and things like that at the house, getting utilities turned on, running around playing catch-up, mailing things out. And today I am back here at the house to meet several contractors for painting, for putting rugs down on these floors, and a few other things, including just putting toilet paper and soap in the house. And that's what I'm doing right now. That'll take up the bulk of my day. What I also need to do, though, is apply for Comic-Con San Diego next year very soon. It was 2 days ago. Artists are already applying for Artist Alley. Apparently, deadlines for Artist Alley are September, and then there's a few other tables and exhibitors and things. Whole thing I've never messed with. Whole different process from any other convention. Need to get on that. I also need to send a portfolio out to the people from Upper Deck, which I still haven't done. And just a few, I have a couple outstanding commissions I gotta get on, so I'm really behind on everything. But I had to take care of some house stuff first. So today's a big house day. Tomorrow, hopefully, I'll get back to more artwork and art career related stuff. Now, if you're like, what Comic-Con? What are you talking about? I did 5 videos chronicling my time at San Diego Comic-Con, which you can see elsewhere. I didn't make it part of this vlog series. I put the links down below. You can check them out or not, but that's where that time gap is between last. Hey, look, mirror. It's back of my head. Anyway, that's what's going on.
It's hard to see, but this is our small backyard, and there are about 1 million wasps here. So great.
It's Friday. I'm going back up to the house again to do some minor stuff, bring a table so that I'll have something to sit at while I'm wasting next week there. And I'm also going to go to the food store to get some soda and water to put in the fridge for myself and for the workers. Last night, did Artcasters with Mr. Joshua Kemble and Mr. Scott Cirkland. You can check that out. And we had a technical difficulty, so it ended up being a 2-parter. I'll put the links below. And we mostly talked about San Diego Comic-Con, touched upon some of the stuff that I talked about in my own videos, but also a bunch of other stuff. So it's worth checking out. It's good to listen to if you're sitting there inking or something. Yes, but now I'm back at real life. See that car right there? It's parked. It's not like getting ready to pull out. It's been there since before I was here, and now I'm leaving. Terrible, terrible person. I'm on the floor in the new house. Still nothing, as you can see. It's still barren. Not painted, not carpeted, nothing really done. I dropped a few things off here, nothing that I'd worry about being stolen. Checked on some paint in the garage to tell the painters what it was for the white. Did a couple other boring things, but the main thing I was here to do was check on that water had been turned on, and it has not. It was supposed to be on yesterday. I found a flyer like out front saying that they came by Monday to try to turn it on, which is weird because it was supposed to be Thursday. Anyway, I called to try to see what's going on, and they said some faucet was on the paper, so all the faucets seem to be off, outside, inside, everything. So I don't know what to do, and I don't want to go home, which is like a 45-minute to an hour drive, depending on traffic, and then have them tell me, oh, come back up. So now I'm laying on the floor, hoping they call me back soon to get the water on. Excitement! It's Saturday. The carpet guy was just here with some samples. He actually brought them to the house in Santa Clara, which was nice. This coming week, I'm going to be at the house almost every day, all day, dealing with house stuff. So this weekend is California Extreme, the video game expo, which is at the convention center right by my house, that I went to when we first moved here, and I've gone to in some capacity every year since. And I have a lot of stuff to do. Client work, housework, just stuff, life stuff. But I'm going to take a break and enjoy the show a bit, because I'm not saying I'll never go again, but I'm going to be 45 minutes away, so it won't be exactly the same where I could just swing by if I feel like it, like I'm doing right now. And this week coming up is going to be a nightmare, so a little bit of fun.
I tried to do some narration. This is the entrance, by the way, to the main hall. I tried to do some narration, but it came out terrible. I forgot to bring my microphone like I had done at Comic-Con, and so I was just sort of talking into the camera, which I've done before and it works okay, but in such a loud environment as this, it was unlistenable. So unfortunately, you'll kind of vaguely hear some noises in the background as I talk over. I wanted to have, you know, the arcade experience. This is a new Star Wars pinball machine Stern every year I think it's the only American company still making pinball machines. And every year at California Extreme, they debut one or more new machines, and this is their new one this year. I didn't play it even once. There was always a line, never a huge line, but I just didn't want to waste my time waiting when there's so much other stuff to do, and I knew it would show up eventually. Here you can see the creators have signed it, not the creators of Star Wars, but the creators of the pinball machine. I thought that was cool. It was a little gumball machine, but it had pinballs in it. When I was looking over here, I got excited because what I eventually found was what do you call them? Like the bumpers in a pinball machine, like the little, let's say 10, and it goes like ping, ping, ping. Is that a good description? But more of an old-fashioned kind that had been turned into night lights. Now, why is this exciting? Well, it's a neat thing, but years ago, the very first California Extreme I went to, I saw some of these, and I wanted to get them for the house because that'd be fun night lights. And I went home, and I went back that same day, and they had sold out and didn't have any more for the rest of the show. Been there every year since, which is like 5, 6, 7 years. Never saw them again. Finally found them again, and I bought 2, and I was like, maybe I should have bought more. When I went back and looked again, gone. Same exact thing. Out at the end of that day, out for the show. Here's an artist that was selling some prints of video game related artwork. I don't know if he worked on the video game or if it was more like fan art, but it was very specific of Street Fighter versus Marvel. Some of this camera work is really dark. It doesn't make for good video, but I really liked the main room because it was so dark and it just really felt like an old school arcade. And I did spend a lot of time in here playing games, but I also spent a lot of time just sort of walking around and like enjoying the environment. It was, I don't know, it felt really cozy and homey, even though it was loud and crowded. But anyway, this show in the past, I've seen 1 or 2 vendors, usually like somebody selling pinball machine parts, vintage marquee signs like on the top here. By the way, this is Krull. It's hard to see, but that is a very rare game. It's only the second time I've ever seen it. The first time I saw it, it wasn't working. So I was happy to be able to play that game. Now, here are the vendors I was talking about. You can see they have video game related parts and things like that. There's one down at the end though that I had not seen, which had more like current things like Bandai Pac-Man plushies and things like that. So that was a little bit of a new thing, but again, on message and fit in. The artist I saw I'd never seen. I'd thought about selling art here before, but I didn't really have a lot of video game art. Coming around here, you see somebody with t-shirts, retro video game t-shirts and stuff. So there were all the vendors I normally see, plus a few more. And then over on this side, there was, well, I just panned past it, but I'll keep talking. Here's some old-fashioned pinball. There was a artist that had kind of like an anime slant to it, and didn't seem to be video gamey at all. And they were also sitting doing live drawings. I couldn't tell if it was caricature or like if they were drawing actual people or not, but it, nothing against them, but it just seemed really out of place. And then next to them, where there's this, okay, I'm back, where these guys, who I've seen at a lot of toys shows and stuff, and they sell sort of not bootleg, quote-unquote, not bootleg posters and DVDs and stuff. They had 1 or 2 video game, there's the gentleman or lady, I don't even remember, drawing. And again, it's sort of like, okay, I guess, but it's just like, I don't know. It didn't upset me, but it just seemed odd that there were so many more vendors and starting to have vendors that are off-brand, which I don't like, because you see that at regular Comic-Cons too, where you see people selling, track phone service or something, or quit smoking when it's like supposed to be a Comic-Con or a toy show. Yeah, so it was just odd, but didn't stop me from having fun. And here's some really old black and white games. They had this game called Death Race, which I have seen before, although I probably saw it here before. It's sort of like a 4-person driving game, but you're supposed to be killing people, like running them down, which I think is fantastic. They had the original Pong and a few other Pong machines, actually, some of which worked, some of which didn't. It's tough to play some games by yourself, and I didn't really feel like tracking it down a random person to play it. That was some kind of shark game. I don't remember exactly what it was called. But yeah, they have it sectioned off, so there's like modern pinball, vintage pinball, super old pinball, and similarly with the arcades. And I later discovered there was a second room of arcade games. And then there was an upstairs, which I don't think they've ever had before. And then downstairs they have several rooms that have console games and pinball tournaments, and they actually have panels like a Comic-Con would, and they've had more and more panels lately. And that I do like, because it's, behind the scenes, the creation of Missile Command, and a documentary on Japanese arcades and things like that. What I'm showing you here now, this is Pac-Man and Chomp Chomp, which supposedly was, see, now I'm forgetting. It was a sequel to Pac-Man, but it was never produced, and this is somebody's kid was like, I'm going to produce it, and actually made a board of it. And it's weird. I had a hard time figuring out how to play it, because you get a power-up, but it doesn't let you kill the ghosts. It like makes you go faster. Like, see how I turn blue and big, and then boop, I die. and then later on I realized that there's an extra button, and I'm trying to film and play at the same time. That's why the camera work is so terrible. And you actually shoot like a stun ray. Like, it's crazy. It's not like any other Pac-Man. So it was pretty neat. And here's an old-fashioned shoot at a bear with a rifle kind of gun. Air gun, light gun, I don't know, whatever it is. But that kind of stuff is always fun to see. It's not so much fun to play. You play it like once, but it's just cool to see. Here's Krull. I finally got a chance to play. Krull is different than the old arcade game. And this is based on an 80s fantasy movie, if you're unaware. And I loved that movie when I was a kid. And I had the Atari game and played it all the time. It was super hard, at least as a kid. So it was cool to actually play a better version. And it's not even the same game with better graphics. It's just a completely different version of the game.
So that was cool. I missed the Midway Valley panel about like Mortal Kombat and all that stuff, but I just saw a panel on the early history of Atari with the third employee, the guy who basically invented Pong, so that was pretty cool.
This Pac-Man machine was set up to be level 255, which is the kill screen, which you may have seen like t-shirts and things of, where half the screen is all gobbledygook, but you can still kind of play it. Usually it's like super hard to get there, so the weird thing is that it's set up so you can play it at that, but you have to beat the board before it. Like, I don't know, you have to be good enough to even be able to play it, even though it's already set there. So I mostly just watched other people. Like, this game I played as a kid, and I always thought it was color. It's sort of vector graphics the way Asteroids is, but they just had a sticker over it to make it look like color. And here's an old game called Fire Truck. I didn't play it, but here's another vector graphic. This is a weird one. I've only ever seen it shows like this. I think it was called Warrior. And it's a top-down, like you're a knight dueling another knight, so it's like a two-player game, but the controls are really weird, and it's just a weird angle. Like, a lot of the fun of these older games are that they just were trying new stuff. There wasn't like, oh, this is a platformer, this is a first-person shooter. It was just, you know, let's see what works. And over here, this is Killer Queen, which they've had every year, and I've probably mentioned before that years ago I worked with the co-creator of this game on a different game called Nimble Strong, which was a phone bartender game, which didn't do nearly as well as Killer Queen, but it's a fun game. And this is another new game. I can't remember what it's called, Cosmotrons, I think. Did not get a chance to play it. Like with the Star Wars game, there was always a crowd, and I never felt like waiting online for it. But I love that there are new retro-style games being created. This is Thayer's Quest, which is a Laserdisc game. Laserdisc games are like Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, things like that. But this one had, and for those that aren't unaware, again, this is an 80s phenomenon where basically it looks like you're playing a cartoon, but you have limited choices. This one is really bizarre and hard, and I didn't like it or understand it, but it had like a keyboard to try to make it more like a RPG where you had like items and things as opposed to just left, right, sword, which is what most of them are. And you can see all the others here, some more well known than others. There's Super Don Quixote, that's another one I played, which is like terrible control. That one right there is called Cliffhanger, but it's Lupin the Third, the anime. It's based primarily on the movie Castle Cagliostro, and next to it is The Act, which I play later, which is another new game that was created in the style of Laserdisc, but it actually looks like Flash animation, and I think it's only like 5 years old or so, and instead of having left, right, up, down kind of controls, it has a speed knob, and that's the only control. This is a game called Road Blasters, which I was a big fan of as a kid. I barely got to play it. It was at like some arcade or bowling alley that wasn't near my house, but what I loved about it was that you could drive and shoot, and you actually had a steering wheel and a gun. And here's a better shot of that new Star Wars game, which again, I never played, but you know, whatever. And here's Willow. Willow is another game like Krull that I've only seen one other time before, and it was in Boston.
It was just, you were Mad Mardigan, at least on the level I was on, somebody already playing, and it was just throwing crap at me non-stop and everything. It was just like too much. It was like, here's everything, put more quarters in. It wasn't like a good game of skill.
I don't really know what to say about this. It's kind of 80s. Yeah, I don't know if that's based on anything other than just, hey, let's put some muscular bikini women, and that's the theme. I don't know. Here's a better shot of Death Race. The cabinet art is really awesome, and as I said, there's like cool wheels, but the graphics are terrible. And it's like kill someone and turn them into a little cross grave. That's the goal.
I've been here a few hours, and they just made an announcement that there's a second room. Behind me, this is not the room I was in. It's the first year they've done this, and I was thinking how it was weird. There was no Tron games. There's Tron games, etc. Look at this gigantic. Let me see it. It's Space Invaders. Anyway, there's a whole other room. Good.
So yeah, as you can see, it's gigantic. It's got 2 seats. This had a line as well, and it looks kind of like a ticket game. Like there's, you know, you could lose, but really it's just about getting the most points. But it was still fun. And this is like the overflow room. The lighting was better. Again, it's hard to tell with my camera, but it was not as dimly lit as the main arcade area. And it had sit-down Star Wars, and it had this. I think it was called Cyberball, but it's like a 4-6 player multiplayer kind of almost like an Unreal Tournament or something. And then this, another Lupin game, but this is a typing game. And I've seen one of these too for Resident Evil. There's something in Japan about typing to like do your moves. It's like a good way to learn typing, but I don't know. It's a terrible game. I hate it. I'm not a good typist. I want to play it because it's Lupin, but I don't want to play it because it's typing. And then somebody had a big Converse shoe, which I realized was from Chuck E. Cheese, and as you see, it was like, oh, another ticket game, but it was non-functional, just fun to look at. And yeah, so at this point I decided I better leave and get food.
It was after 6, closer to 7. I got here 2 something, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's been like 4 or 5 hours, and I'm kind of tired. Usually I spend a lot more time here, and I'm taking a dinner break. I plan on coming back later tonight because they're open until 2 in the morning. But I don't know. I mean, I got enough sleep. I don't think I'm sick. I think it's just because after Comic-Con and all the moving and stuff, I'm feeling low energy. I'm enjoying myself more than it seems I am. But I think taking a break, getting some food, and then going back later is the best course of action. Just in case you guys are worried, I have been going to Target on a regular basis, including tonight. It's about 11 o'clock. I'm going back to the show after having dinner and watching some TV and hanging out with Q, but I'm going to stop at Target to get a soda and to see if they have the new Marvel Legends. Well, it's close to midnight. I thought I'd be able to park downstairs in the actual parking lot. Instead, I am in the sort of convention parking garage, which is an upgrade from the overflow down the street I was before. Wow, this view looks awesome on camera, but really I'm just on top of a parking deck and there's a couple houses behind me. But it looks like I'm on like a skyscraper in New York or something. I'm not.
Back at the show, and this is sort of a mix of Saturday night and Sunday. Here's a shot of Space Ace, one of the famous Laserdisc games, which is done by Don Bluth, the famous Disney animator, and then creator of his own studio, of course. Previous year, I had actually beaten Space Ace. This year, I beat The Act, which is the new game, which I'm showing you here. Once I figured out like how to do it, it's probably like a 5-minute game, but it took me probably a half hour. That's the controller I was talking about. It's just adjust the speed left and right. It's kind of hard to describe, but it is a very ingenious way of controlling a game. It kind of reminds me of what I was saying before about the top-down sword fighting game where they just sort of went for it. And here's the classic Star Trek The Next Generation pinball machine, which is awesome and one of my favorites. As you can see, I approve. My favorite thing is when you launch the probe and it has like a little plastic thing. This is a game called Dazzler, which was very weird. I never heard of it before. It was on a row of games called something like NES. There was some pun, basically like NES games you didn't play. And you would go into these doors, and sometimes you'd have a banana. No, it was a snake. You had a snake, and if you dropped the snake, then the big snake people didn't like it. But sometimes there was a snake person behind the door. It was weird. I mean, it played very much like an old Atari era game. It was early Nintendo. I don't even know if it was on the NES system or if it was just made by Nintendo. All the games there were not well known. Some of them had terrible gameplay. The gameplay on this was okay, but it was just a weird concept. Again, like, I'm dropping snakes to stop snake people. That doesn't make sense. It should be like I drop a mongoose or something. This game, Turkey Shoot, wins the prize for most bizarre game I played. It's a gun shooting game. I don't know when it's from. I'm going to guess 90s. But the gun has like a real recoil. It has like a clicking, like analog click, 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 but it also has the light. So it's a shooting game with a bizarre hardware to begin with. And then you have to shoot these turkeys who are like robbing, and one of your buttons is gobble, which makes them all look at you like I guess you impersonated a turkey. But the craziest part, it's hard to see, but there's feathers flying. When you beat the board, feathers fly up, like real feathers, not digital feathers. Anyway, I thought the art on this was really cool. A lot of these old, I think there's a word for it, like electromechanical pinball machines, where it isn't where we are today, but it's newer than the really old ones. That's not a great description, but a lot of them have great art and sound. This game, iRobot, has a secondary mode, which is what I'm in here now. I think it was called Paint or Art or something like that. And it's such a weird thing for an arcade machine to have. And it reminds me of like playing with MS Paint when I was a kid in school or something, where like I'm rotating this. This is me controlling this, and then there's a different button that lets me pick different things. And oh, now I'll pick the different shape, and you move them around, and they just trail as though Windows is about to fail or something. And some of them are regular brushes, but I just can't believe that this existed out in the world. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they set it up special this way for the show, but I've seen this before, so it's not like somebody programmed it special. It's in the machine already. And the weirdest part is there's a face, which I think I'm going to cut to now. as one of the brushes. Wow, that was some terrible camera work. Sorry. There's the face. So you move it around and you can rotate it, and then again, it's like, you have played too many video games. Now you will see the inside of my neck hole. It's like red even. Is it supposed to? Why did I do this? B. Yeah, there you go. That makes so much sense. Anyway, back to reality. This is a Superman game. Again, older, I'm going to guess 70s. And this is that electromechanical sort of era, which is a lot of fun. And here's me giving a pointer to Superman, letting him know that I agree with his machine. And then this was just a shot of those posters, which are like 11 by 17 printouts of... Yeah, I don't know if that's legal. I'm there with the big dog, and that's me and him playing Point Blank. This is Wizard of War, which is a game I enjoy very much. I'd never played it until recently, but I know I would have loved it as a kid. And here's Tempest, which I'm not particularly good at, but I am a sucker for all those vector, bright graphic games. This is some bizarre monkey fish game that the big dog was playing that I hate the way it looks. It looks like fake claymation. Now this game is called Panic Park, and this is a competition that's the big dog against some rando. And I've done the competition before. You can see there's people on the ground actually have to hold the machine so it doesn't go flying. And he won the competition, which got him real money and let him basically paid for his ticket to get in. So good on him. I was in it too. I lost. And you can see those are the controls, and they're all 1v1 mini games, kind of like a Mario Party or something, but much more physical. And you can see there's a guy behind him hitting with mallets, so they make it very four-dimensional, where they spray you with water, and like whatever the obstacles are, they try to make fun, incorporated with it. And I don't know, I've never seen it other than at this show. I don't know if it was a Japanese-only game or just in certain areas, or I just happened to miss that year when it was in arcades. But it's a really fun game. It's especially fun to play with someone you like because you don't have to worry about hurting somebody or being too aggressive. As you can see, they're like smashing into each other. My arms, my back were tired. I was sweating. It's nuts. But again, it's fun, and the big dog essentially got a free ticket out of it. So good, bark.
In the kitchen. It's evening, late evening, 11, whatever, doesn't matter. Went back to the show with the big dog again today. Well, he wasn't there yesterday. I went there today with the big dog. We participated in a Panic Park discotheque. No, it's not a discotheque. It was a configuration of amusements. No, it was not a configuration of amusements. It was a game competition, and I had joined this a couple of years ago, maybe just on a lark, as we did this time, and it was $3 admission, and you're one of 16 people, and he won. He beat me in the first round, and then went on to win the whole thing, winning $30, which was the cost of admission, so free admission. That's cool for him, not so cool for me. These are the nightlights I was talking about. As you can see, they're made of sort of old bumpers, and I got two. I thought about getting more, and today they were all gone, so it's good that I got the ones I did. On the way back, stopped at Walgreens, and they had Television Daredevil, which is the only television one I'm definitely getting. The others I'm not sure, but it's got a Man-Thing head. That's the Build-A-Figure, so I'm going to be chasing those parts at the very least. Here's the weirdest part. Upstairs, they've been branching out, as I said, so they had upstairs a whole new area, and they had some vendors, video game vendors and stuff. One video game vendor had 3 toys, Power Ranger toys. The big dog got a vintage Saba sword, and I got a vintage Goldar figure. Mint in the box, $10. Crazy. So, not at all what I expected to get there, but fun, good times. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Goodbye, and tomorrow I'll be sitting in a horrible house again. Back at the house, this is day 2 of painting. Yesterday I had to be here all day for various reasons. Today, my plan is to let them in. It's a little before 8. And then they're going to do things like turn this X, or this X, into a wall that looks like that wall. The lighting here probably doesn't show it. Basically, sort of a yellowish, tannish to a bluish, grayish is the goal. And yeah, so as you can see, the whole place looks like Dexter or the guy from American Psycho is going to kill a bunch of people here. And this is how it's been yesterday and today and the next couple days. Tomorrow I'll have to come back. Well, I'm going to have to come back every day, but tomorrow I'll have to come back and stick around for a little while. But today, hopefully, they may be able to let themselves out. I know this is boring. I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to show the house in various stages of preparedness. Oh, here's all the stuff I've moved in so far in the garage. Just got the alarm set up on the door, so I feel a little more secure leaving it in here. What's interesting is this is our other garage. This one's attached to the house. That's the house entrance. That one just goes to the walkway. So it's a 2-car garage, but they're not connected, which I've never seen, but I kind of like. So we each have our own car house. And when you win, a bunch of feathers. You've killed all the turkeys. How horrific.